I know people get tired of us rapture watchers. I get it. But keep watching. I want to talk about numbers briefly. God does everything with numbers. The amount of people who don't realize that and mistake this stuff for numerology is really fascinating. He literally made an entire book in his word called Numbers. One of the way God speaks to me is through specific numbers. The numbers he shows me the most, like all the time, are 17s and 18s. And I've seen plenty of 23s and 24s, as well as a lot of 44s, and lately like even like 33s, and just so many numbers that it's hard to even keep track of. And like also like a lot of like 117s, and like I've heard so much lately about like 117 has a lot of significance in the Bible.
He would arise on the first fruits, 117, 17th day of the first month, the same day that the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, reversing the curse. The ark, Jesus Christ, came to rest on the mountains of reverse the curse. But then he would have Moses bring them through the Red Sea, part in the Red Sea, and bring a multitude across. It's like a rapture. And the Red Sea, think about between us and heaven, there's a big gulf that we can't cross. Then he had Joshua do it again in Nisan. Then the story of Joseph being pulled out of the pit is the typology. His coat of many colors are the 70 nations. The blood of the goat on the coat is Jesus' blood on the 70 nations being brought to the Father. And then he goes to the story of the wine and the bread. Jonah, his name means dove. Dove is associated with the Holy Spirit, gets spat out after 3 days in the belly of the fish, representing Jesus' resurrection day. Another typology of 117. And of course, Jesus on 117 came out of the grave, and he would take Old Testament saints in a rapture type scenario.
I also see like 717, and that has a huge significance in the Bible. Doesn't that mean in like Strong's Concordance to be like to pluck, to be caught up? One of the numbers does. I think it might be that. But yeah, it's just so much that it's hard to even keep track of everything. But like, just an example of God keeps showing me these numbers. Last night, the other night, when I wrote this, it was last night. But yeah, last night, the two numbers they had on their sign that they hadn't updated yet were 17 and 23. Like saying that, like, oh, picture days on the 23rd, and then homecomings on October 17th. Then the actual game, I noticed shortly before halftime that it was currently paused on 23. You know how that works? And they kept playing, and then the number that it was paused on next was 17. And also, when I took that picture, the away team currently had 33 points. I had shown my friend that picture of the sign outside of the school, and she was like, September 23rd, picture day, as in, September 23rd was just the day that everyone was pretty much all thinking that would be the day of the rapture, as in the day everyone was picturing it being. Thought that was really clever. And she also went on to say, like, what if, just maybe, October 17th just so happens to be the day that we come home. Our homecoming. Israel is 7 hours ahead of me in Eastern Standard Time, I believe. And so, like, when it's the 17th here, it will be the 18th in Israel. What if, just a thought, maybe the reason God's been showing me all these 17s and 18s everywhere, often even paired together, is because the rapture may actually end up being on the 17th and 18th. And it's hard to remember off the top of my head, but since seeing that sign and the other sign at the game with the 17 and 23 combined, I've been seeing that several times, even just re-watching one of my testimony videos I made on here months ago. I was just watching that last night, and one of the screenshots I had included an Instagram post that I made in 2017 on April 23rd. So that was another 23 and 17 from months ago. Like, this is crazy. And please, I just ask that no one comments that, oh, no one knows the day or the hour. Listen, that requires a lot of deep, proper studying to understand that that's not really exactly what it means. I don't believe. And, like, also at the same time, we also technically don't know the day or hour, but we still know it's approximate. So, you know, like, end time stuff is super deep and complex and can take years of proper studying just to understand even part of it. Like, most people who say that we can't have any idea of when Jesus is coming back. Most people who say that didn't even study it. They read it. You know, most people who say you can't know the day or hour, they did not study that verse. They just read that verse. There's a huge difference. That makes all the difference. Just reading a Bible verse, you might not understand it just reading it off the page, but if you do proper deep dive into it, like a study, like to compare it to so many other verses and like look at the context of the times that they were living in and so much, and that you'll understand that, you know, I believe that it's true that it was a Jewish idiom for, you know, a Jewish wedding back then, how they did things, because only the father knew when they would get married. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And, you know, from what I understand, like, that also connects to Feast of Trumpets, which is hard because that just passed. And now people are saying, well, it just depends on what calendar you're using because our calendar is wrong. And so it actually is on the October 6th and 7th, which I don't know. I'll be honest. I have no idea if, you know, because God's not the author of confusion. So, like, I don't know if we're actually supposed to look at the 6th and 7th as the Feast of Trumpets. Because, like, didn't they just celebrate the Feast of Trumpets? I don't know. I don't know. So, I'll just be honest. Like, yeah. We truly don't know the day or hour. We just know it's soon. And we're trying to pinpoint just how soon. And it's just soon no matter what. And, like, I just want to say that, like, I think it's easy for people to assume that I'm trying to rush God and I'm trying to make the rapture happen sooner. And I'm going to be honest here. Well, first of all, we didn't set the date. God set the date thousands or I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. Like, God knew the exact date it would happen. A predestined time or preordained or whatever. I forget the word. But, like, yeah, God ordained the exact date before we ever existed. And I just want to say, like, obviously, there's no changing when that's going to happen. We're not going to speed it up, right? The ordained time. So, like, God knows the day or hour. And Jesus is God. And so, like, maybe Jesus didn't know while he was walking on earth, but, like, there's scriptures that make it sound like he knows now. Like Revelation 1:1, if you read that, it says that God told him these things. Revelation. You know? So again, it takes a lot of deep research and studying to fully wrap your head around everything. Because it's like, maybe Jesus didn't know the day or hour then, but I kind of think he does now. I mean, he's all-knowing, is he not? He's God. You know, you have to know Jesus is God to be saved, Romans 10:9. One verse out of context does not overpower years of deep researching and studying the Bible to find and understand the true, deeper, hidden meaning behind these things. And with even saying that, it's like, well, someone who's been studying the Bible their whole lives might not actually have gotten everything right, you know, and someone who's new to this may understand something better. I don't know. I don't know. It's you know, these things get complex sometimes, you know? But yeah, revelation literally means the revealing. He said to Daniel to seal up the book until the end because it wasn't for anyone to know until then. As in now, because we're here now, we can see the signs. And I'm tempted to post this compilation of just everything corrupt and evil going on in the world that I put on Facebook the other day, because it's like, boy, like, there is so much evil. Islam is everywhere now. It's crazy. People have no idea just how close Jesus is, just based on where the world is now. it's so corrupted and evil.